So my name is Yoni, or Yonatan, whatever. In my professional, actually I'm doing a lot of things. But mainly in my professional life I'm doing two things. The first one, click here, not working. Yes. So the first one actually, it takes me most part of the day. I'm leading mobile development team in a company called Monday.com. And actually, I'm going to talk about the company a lot during this presentation. But the main thing is actually we are creating project collaboration tool to help teams to manage complex projects like building a plane, for example. Like Boeing, building the plane using our platform. We have like hundreds of thousands of customers over the world, really fast-growing startup. It's amazing journey to be there. And I will talk about a little bit later about all the stuff that happened. And the second thing, yes, is actually it's Android Academy. Folks from the Android Academy, please raise your hands if you're here. So this guy is actually who helps to build the largest community in the world of Android developers with more than 4 different countries and 5th on the way, with main goal of allowing everyone to learn Android for free. And also we're doing here in Minsk. So find one of these folks and ask them how you can join, how to participate, because we're doing a lot of amazing things and a lot of courses, like fundamentals course, advanced course, design course, mentors program, and really amazing, great stuff. And we just started. It's just the beginning. But today, actually, the title of this presentation is like how to become the best developer that everyone wants, right? Who wants to be the best one? Like the best. No, everyone wants. Be the truth with yourself. Everyone wants to be the best one, right? We all want to be wanted, right? And actually, for me, the whole story, I will shift to here. The whole story starts at another conference where we participate in the freestyle conversation about social benefits, like about salaries, about coffee in the kitchen, or plushki, and other stuff that we are chasing. And for me, like all this conversation felt really wrong. Like, guys, why? Why are you talking about that? Like, what is important for you? The paycheck, the salary that you get? To come for the work from 9 to 5 to get your salary? This is actually really what important, and it's really resonated with me. Like, hey, I have so much to tell about this story. This is not about the salary, it's about why you wake up in the morning. Like, I have these amazing stories that happened to me during my life that caused me to feel like to geek and try to explain to others, guys, it's not about the salary, it's about you, what you in this story. And of course, everyone has a story, so the best way to share all the things is actually to share my story, what I learned all my way. So be with me. Because story starts, as always, once upon a time, right? I was a student. I wanted to be the developer, the best one. The one that everyone wants to be and to take to the team, right? We all wanted to be wanted. We all wanted to be part of something big movement and do significant things, right? So how we measure good developers, the best one, right? I even had this conversation today that someone asked, and someone came to me and asked, hey, do you use Cicerone library, right? And I'm like, no, not really. I care about more users. And this conversation, it's like, it's happened all the time. Like, we measure our value, how good we are, in terms of better technology that we use. Or like, if I will talk about iOS developers, like, which DI framework are you using? Swift Inject? Or maybe Cleans? It's like, hey, if you're not using Cleans, it's the new library, you're not really so good developer. And the thing is that it's created a lot of motions, right? The new shiny library, new technology. I just implemented Arc Swift and migrate all our requests. But it's not really value for users. Your users not really feel something different changed in our application. Actually, they will feel opposite, because with the new technology, you always introduce new issues, new bugs, right? So we actually create the opposite effect. And if you will think for a moment, like back 1 year, like take your product that you're working on it, right? Maybe your application, platform, backend development, iOS development, and look how much it changed. Does it feel you're really excited on the things that you're working? Like, can you come to home and say, hey, mom, this is what I did. Look at it, right? Shiny. Not really. Most of us not. And actually, part of my life I feel the same, right? And best to explaining this, what's the difference is, of course, is iPhone, right? When the new phone, the new smartphone, iPhone, came out to the market, right? The Steve Jobs stand at the stand, he put his iPhone here and like explained to others how they went wrong, right? It was revolutionary. New phone, new smartphone, like the scroll is amazing, the whole interface is amazing, like completely different story. It was revolutionary, right? And then, years. So look on the last smartphone that just get out. Pixel 4, for example. How excited are you about the new changes? Anyone know what changed happened in Pixel 4? Or new iPhone? Meh. So we have at least like a lot of motion, like maybe better camera, maybe new screen, faster CPU, but it doesn't really change much. It doesn't really create a new revolution. And I encourage you to look on this story and ask yourself, like, why you wake up in the morning? To make better camera? Or to create really better revolutions, right? To create something amazing, something viable for the users that will cause you, your belly, really to scratch and say, hey, wow, it's like, it was really hard and I did it, right? And most important thing to ask yourself, why are you here? Why you come to your work in the morning? For the salary or for something else? Because at the end of the day, this is what I felt. I asked myself, like, why I wake up in the morning? Because I felt that something is wrong with the world around me. Like, I felt that I can do much more. You can actually do much more. I see it in your eyes. You're already sitting here in the conference. You're already trying to learn. So the really bump for me for this lecture started when I closed my startup and I started to look for a job. And I really had the privilege not to looking for a job. I got the offers, like 4 offers, and I had the privilege to choose between them. And I started to ask myself how it really didn't happen, why it's really I had this privilege. And actually, the whole story started in, I didn't realize it immediately, right? And I started to analyze all my path to find what actually caused me to get into this point. And my story started at a big American corporate. It's called Tioco. It was really large American, established with well processes corporate. Like with a lot of customers over the world. I was the integration engineer. Finally, I got into work of big people with a good salary. I felt like, hey, I'm doing something great. And from one side, it was really, really, really good experience. I traveled over the world. I was integration engineer. I installed our solution in different customers, different telecom companies. But on the other hand, at one day when we had a problem with one of the libraries, instead of like going the whole process, going to the R&D and ask them to change it, then there is new version, and like waiting half year, I just, I'm a developer, so I went to the Git, changed the code, deployed it on the customer side. I almost was fired because I broke all possible rules in the company. I broke all possible laws that actually enforced company to move forward, because this is a large American corporate. Everything should be by rules, step by step. But I think it's created me a lot of frustration. I felt like my personal impact was almost zero. Like someone has actually told me to do and how to do, and I should execute his will without really thinking twice. And it's made me so frustrated that I actually went to the whole different story. I went and founded my first startup. I wanted to feel how it is to be on the side where you actually decide what you're creating, how you create the value for users. And together with my friends, we established our first startup. It was a stupid idea. It was first time I developed something for Android. We had an amazing application that actually, it's generated content for soccer, for the football. And the most amazing thing, that our application was finishing battery less than 3 hours. This is the thing I'm most proud. But actually, the thing that really astonished me is when we released our first version, I succeeded to recruit all my friends to go together with us to the stadium and actually to ask people to download our app. And the first time in the history, I saw all my fuck-ups in the app that I did when users tried to use it. So like they download it and try to use, and you immediately realize that, hey, this is actually what you did, and he just used it. He just used it, he tried, and you saw this feedback, you immediately understand how it need to be changed. You're like, your brain is actually working. You start to realize, hey, this is the impact, and I can do that, I can change it. But of course, all startups doomed to fail, at least at the beginning. So I decided to learn from someone else. I went to company Get. Back then, it was really small startup of 10 people. And it was an amazing journey. I joined to be Android developer on the driver side. So we develop an app for the drivers. And of course, as developer that, we all love engineering, we had this new amazing network library that just was released, Retrofit. And what do you think the first thing you are doing? You put it in your app. You start to implement it. You start to try it. You play with it. And then I was so excited. I remember I went to the VP R&D of our company and start to explain him how important to implement this library, invest 2 weeks of my time just to migrate all our network to this new shiny library released by Square. And he asked me the question. Back then, I didn't understand what he wants from me, but it was straight to the point. He asked me, okay, I get it. Amazing new library, but what's the value for the users? Will they get much faster application? The internet going to work faster for the drivers? What value you are going to create for the users? And I'm like, I don't know, like nothing. He was right. Right? There's zero value for the customer, even opposite. I created so many bugs with the new network library that it was constantly crashing and drivers were complaining. And the most crucial thing, that when the driver app is not working, it means someone is not getting money for his life. Like for the drivers, it was really, this is his work. This is how he gained money for a life, right? To pay his debts, food, etc. It realized me to understand that real value is actually, it's not in the libraries. The real value in the thing that you are doing. The real value is actually in your users and the customers. And the value, the things that we achieved was amazing. Like our company grew really fast. Like we launched in 4 different countries, 70 cities. We had more than 150 drivers. Think about it. Every day you have 150,000 of drivers on the road that using your app for 8-7 hours. What the impact you can do? For example, for us, one of the stories was that a driver came to the office, and usually in Israel, drivers are people that retired on the pension with the glasses, with the big glasses, not like mine, that really hard them to use phone. Right? So what they're doing, they buy tablets. But our app wasn't adapted for the tablets. We had small buttons, small images. So when the driver need to click on the button on the new right, what he was doing when he's driving, he was like, start to clicking something. Crazy. And the driver came to our office and really he tried to explain us to the developers, not to some customer success folks, to us, to developers, how painful it for him. And we just took 1 weekend, me and my partner in the Android team, and we just implemented the whole application to support tablets as well. So we make buttons much bigger, all images much smaller. The text, we for the first time, I understand what's the difference between just the pixel, D piece and S piece. So when we released to them, 1 week after that, the same driver came to us and started shaking our hands because it's the first time he really was able to use that. Like in small effort of 1 weekend, we create amazing value for not just for these drivers, but for all other drivers that weren't complaining about the small icons and small text and small buttons that they can use. Because usually this was one is complaining, and on each one complaining user, there are 1,000 that not complaining and just suffer in silence. But at the same time, they really grow so fast. They grow, at the peak, I think it was more than 2,000 employees. And from the small Android team that we decide what to work and how to work, how to create the value, we turn out to be a big team with our product manager, business analyst, a designer, and other folks that join, and team actually grew to almost 10 people. And at the same time, I started to feel that my personal impact on the product almost went to the zero. I felt like I'm stuck, not really moving. I was receiving this Google Doc with the product specification, how I need to implement it, and this is what requested. Right? This is was main job. And it was so different. I felt like all air is actually gone. Right? I didn't feel the same impact that I can make as I had before. At the same time, I had a newborn baby. Here she is. And the whole story is like, it went so crazy. When you have, who are parents here? Like me. Okay. So when you have a newborn baby, it's a mess. It's crazy. I will use more hard words, but we're in a conference. But it's like 24 hours job. And I was frustrated at the work. I came back to the home, and I also was frustrated at the home because it's like affected my both worlds, right? I wasn't feel that I'm doing something important at the day, and also I was arriving in home and dealing with her. And she's amazing, but it's a small baby, not really a lot of things are happening there. So what most of the people doing in this situation, when they have good salary, amazing company, fast growing, very well established, nice title of the Android team leader, and like all this stuff, they suffer in silence, right? This is it's comfort zone. Why to move? You just had a newborn baby, right? Why to do? But not me, because despite all the things, I felt like that you will spend it at your work most of your time, right? You spend 45 hours in a week, almost 200 hours in a month. It's not important what you're doing. It's not important how it's affecting your life. It's like endless cycle. In Hebrew, there's a word called mazal. It's actually, in Russian, and say luck. Okay? But actually, it's the three characters, three letters, that actually stands for another sentence called Izdamnut Pogeshet Mukhanut. I will translate is actually when the chance meets readiness. So basically, we always have a lot of opportunities, all the time. In Hebrew, we even say when we have one door is closed for us, right? So something bad has happened. There's another two windows that you can enter in the house, usually, at least. And actually, this is the thing. You have a nice salary. You have an amazing new company that you're working with the best title that you want. But you feel stuck. You don't really do anything important. Why to stay? Why not to try to change something? Why not to choose the hardest way? And for me, the choice was obvious, and immediately it arrived at my door. So I have one of my friends, investors, that came to me and asked me, hey, I met this guy with amazing idea of connecting genetic laboratories with the patients from all the world to help people find the right genetic test to be diagnosed. Would you like to join? Of course, I said yes, because why not? Why not try to change something? Even if I'm going to failure, even if I am going to big time mess it up, it will worth all lessons that I'm going to learn. And the impact that we did was really astonishing. So with small startup, less than 10 people, we achieved almost more than 1,000 genetic tests, more than $1.5 million managed. And most important, we saved 6 deadly cancer patients. Saved their life just because we found our algorithm succeed to find the right genetic test. And we looked at the whole picture. We had a team in Israel, we had a team in Ukraine, outsourced team in Ukraine, and somehow everyone was aligned to the success. Somehow understand how to make the impact. And I really interview them, especially for this lecture, how we build it, what's really worked for them. And there's a couple of things that translated to impact that we created for the world. So the first one, we had very clear KPI. KPI is the key performance indicator, or actually it's metric. Like what we're trying to move, how we measure success in our company. And for us, it was very, very simple. It's number of genetic tests in a month, right? How many genetic tests we perform in each month. So if we grow in number of genetic tests, then number of patients is growing, number of laboratories is growing, number of hospitals is growing, everything is fine. But it wasn't enough just to have this KPI. We need to make it clear for everyone, to make everyone aligned to what we're doing. Right? Because if I have it in my pocket, it doesn't really serve the purpose. We create the dashboard and we make it available to everyone in the company. Marketing, customer support, developers, even investors like outside, to everyone be aligned how company is doing. And not only just these metrics, but also how many laboratories we have, how many genetics we have, how many patients we have at any point of time. And the result was, when we reached our goals at the same month, people were celebrating that. They were like really on the WhatsApp message, they were sending the screenshot of the dashboard that when we reached the goal, like, hey, how good it is. It wasn't my will. It wasn't me constantly talking about, hey, it's important to move number of tests, it's important to move number. Because it was so transparent, it was at the developers' table. Right? So they decide what is important, they decide how. And more than that, the second thing that really, really worked well is actually once in a week, we had this product meeting with everyone from the company. Like literally everyone, like we had a privilege, we were small, 10 people. Everyone were joining and everyone was talking about how actually the last week, what happened in several department, and we were discussing what opportunities, what problem we have right now and how we need to solve it. So basically, we're talking about what we're going to work in the next week. And we were releasing a new version every single week, doesn't matter what we're talking about. So basically, when I analyze it back, we create this framework where we talked about the opportunities. We ask how big this opportunity, how we're going to measure them, and then when we release the new version, we were getting the signal of how successful it was every single week. And then back again, next week, new opportunities, measure your goal, get the signals. New opportunity, measure your goal, new signals. And this has created actually that folks from our team wasn't executing my vision or my partner vision or investor's vision. They actually was the owners of everything that happened in the company. Like, for example, my partner, he really was nuts that someone from the customer success decide what we're going to implement next week. How come? She's not genetic counselor, she don't understand in genetics, but she somehow decide on that. Till she thought about some problem idea that when we solve that, we get almost 100 tests in a month just because of this feature. So I was sitting and asking myself, how I can explain to others this framework? How I can frame it and actually introduce to the world that the world don't need really new shiny frameworks. Like they need, but it's not the goal. It serves the goal, but it's never is the goal. The world needs developers that can understand the business, that can understand what's the opportunity we have on the table, how to measure them, how to get the signals, and to take full ownership of the executing end. This is what's important to the society, to the world. This is how we move forward. No one really don't to be the one that executing. In the Windows we had .bat files, right? The executor files. No one really want to be the executor file. Everyone to be like Grace Hooper and do really bold things, to put things in the history, at least at his company. After a couple of years, the journey of Colgan ended somehow. And after this so much impact that I created, influencing business, managing teams, and introducing and raising money, I felt like my next gig, I can't really go back and be developer, because at the get back, it was really frustrated. I was thinking to myself, hey, I will go back to be a developer or team leader, and then product guy will come to me and say, hey, this is the feature, you need to implement it, go. And it felt so wrong after all this impact that we succeeded to create. It felt like not really It's not really going to help. And also, everyone has an ego, right? We have ego. I was a CTO co-founder before. How will go back to be a developer? It's like, I don't want. I want to do more. I want to impact other things that happening around me. And lucky me, I had one of the companies, by the way, there were Monday.com, were sponsors for Android Academy. They just want to help other people. And they approached me and say, hey, we have this mobile group manager position, and actually, you're the right fit. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not really so exciting. Like, I've already been developer, I've already managed mobile teams, I know Android development, and like, what's so amazing about that? And then actually, my VP R&D, he said really amazing thing, that don't choose the job description. Don't choose a title. It's not really important. What is important is the company, is what company is doing, and how personally you, can make impact in this company. And he was totally right, because I joined the Monday, and the impact that I succeeded to do in the 9 months was astonishing, just because this is how a company is working. So what was the impact? Just to convince you that the framework is really working, and I will go to, and later I will explain what is the framework. So, like in 9 months, our whole team grew from the 4 to 9 developers, right? 9 months only. In the apps review for both iOS and Android, we went from the 3 point something to 4 point something. It's really crazy. Not a lot of companies succeed to do that. In terms of business metrics, we grow more than twice in number of active paying people. Not just using the app, paying people. More than double. In revenue, the whole company grew 2 times, mobile grew 3 times. So we outgrow the whole other parts of company. Just because we created the impact. And of course, we engineers like to deal with hard stuff. So we took some of our main components and we improved the load time of the same component from almost 2 seconds to the average of less than 150 milliseconds. We call it boom performance. So we create a lot of impact, and it was like thinking why our team was so successful. Why we succeed to do that? What really helped us? And in a Jew, if you ask my mom, she of course will going to say, yeah, it's because my son. But actually, it's not true. The real thing is that it's because every single developer in our group can make an impact. It's his decision what he's going to work on. Right? Sounds crazy. How a developer can decide what's going to work? Right? How come? He's just a developer. And this is actually what we aim for. This is actually the framework that we built for every developer to make a decision that I, as a manager, and all the rest company feel really, really calm that we know the developer are going to make the decision, the right decision. So how we did it. And before how we did it, but of course, most of the people will say, hey, like, okay, Yonatan, we get you. You work in the startups, you live in Israel, sounds good, like, but we we work mostly in outsource companies, right? And even if we work in the product company, there is some product manager or business analyst that decide what and how we're going to implement, right? This is what happened, right? Who feel the same, right? So we like chasing that. And the thing is, it's really hard to realize, but the thing is that it's up to you. If you want to change that you will make a decision, it's up to you to prove it, to change it. It's nothing going to change if you will not try. Right, so like I heard it a lot of couple times, like I can't deal with this outsource anymore. Because like I want to be engineer, I want to do the cool stuff, I want to produce the impact, so do it. And I will show you how. So how to become the impactful, how to become the developer that everyone wants in their team, even in outsource companies. So first of all, to realize that all around you, like nothing is someone else's problem, it's your problem. Only yours. You have bad salary, it's your problem. The backend is not working, it's your problem. Go fix it. Go learn backend and fix it for yourself. It's really fundamental of anything you're going to do. You want to grow, start to take responsibility for your own life. And once you decide that you want to go this path, and this, by the way, this is very, very hard path, to prove everyone at your company, at your outsource company, that you can make decisions, the right decision for your company, the right decision for your product, the right decision for your client that ordered this app. So here's the 14 questions that if you will ask yourself, and I will go over this question, don't worry, don't like read it every day, I see people start to write. If you will go and ask these questions yourself, not someone else, you will ask yourself these questions, I trust me, everyone around you will look different. So what's the questions? How they look? So first of all, everything starts with why. Why your company is what you're doing? Why your client from this outsourced company asked for this app? What he's trying to solve? Why? Why is it important for them? Like where everyone likes Apple, right? Who likes Apple? I guess? Yeah, of course. So Apple, right? Apple is not company of the computers. Apple is not company of the phones. Also, it's the effect. Money is always the side effect of what you're doing. Why Apple doing what it's doing? If you will check the all messages that Apple is actually sending to the world. We believe to challenging status quo. We believe to do things different. And because we believe in doing things different, we create beautiful design, amazing piece of hardware. This is why. Why Monday is so successful. Why Monday is doing what it's doing. Why? Because we believe that people want to work better together. This is the mission. This is the goal. And once you get this why, you need to understand actually how your company is doing what it's doing. What's the business is, how it works, what's the business units, right? How you make the money, how the company is actually making money, or how company acquiring users, how marketing is working, how the sales department is working. You need to understand, not someone else, you as a developer. Because once you will understand the whole process, you will understand the opportunities that exist in your company. And I will give you example. Like, think about the localization, right? Everyone understands that they need to translate the app. It's a feature. But actually, look at this from the opposite direction. Look at it as opportunity, right? What's the opportunity? For our company, our opportunity was that we have a lot of registrations from the Spanish-speaking countries, right? We saw people registering, sign-upping, and then not really converting to be paying people. It's opportunity. It's a problem. We need to solve that. And actually, the next thing is to ask yourself how big it is. How many Spanish people outside in the world that's ready to pay for project management tool? And turn around, this is the huge market. The most speaking language in the world is the Spanish, by the way. Want to solve this problem? Looks good, right? They're big enough. So once you get the problem, you get the opportunity. This is time yours, not the business analytics, not the product manager, to be proactive and suggest ideas, because you already know how to solve it. You already know all these technical aspects, the issues, because you are going to the conference and hearing other people doing, or you're reading some blog post about that. Right? You're the owner of the domain. You're already owner of the technology and solutions. It's up to you. It's not others. And so, trust me, you're better than any product manager. You're any better than any other business analytics. It's on you, not on someone else. And once you have this solution, you thought about solution, start to think how you can divide it in small chunks and get constant feedback from the market of what you're doing. Because really planning 3 months release, it's not exist in our world anymore. We can't allow ourselves, because the world is really changing very, very fast. We can't really allow ourselves to develop something 3 months and then release it in the end and get the feedback that all this development was totally wrong. You actually need to think about all these small chunks, and even more. You can think like, I have this 1 week. What I can release in this one only? And then start to deliver it, release it, get the signals, understand what and how you can make in any feature releases. For example, in localization, so we can start to develop something really, really, really robust, that can solve the pains for every user, right? To translate the app in every single language, right? And then to make it dynamically update from the server, right? To have this dynamic localization updated and downloaded on the runtime, right? But instead of that, we can just translate sign up and the main component of the app, board, and see what happened. How much is going to take us? Maybe a couple days. And then we'll get immediately feedback from the market. Does it worth really to translate the app into Spanish? Or maybe just to leave it in English? And of course, it's not only up to you to make this all decision. If you will involve others in your team, like product have amazing skill set of understanding the problems that exist in the world, understanding the trade-offs, right? Designer can make your app really, really beautiful. And once you can create, not someone else, create this language, like to talk with them, to share with them your dilemmas, your development develops, you will realize that actually your skill set of making decisions will become much more impactful, much more robust, and you will make decisions much better. And then they will start to trust me. The same product specification, actually the product guys will come to you and ask your opinion on that, how to implement it, how to divide in chunks. And of course, use the data. Use the data everywhere. It's okay to make a decision from your gut feeling, right? So we have this common sense. But once you start it, you need to acquire the data. It's not like prerogative of someone else to go to the database and make queries and find out what's the data. It's up to you how the data is going to be collected. And once you have this data, you need to define what is a success. What actually, if going to move, how the success for you as a developer, going to look, right? What's the KPI for success? If you succeed to move this paying conversion for 1%, is it like, wow? Or it's like, 10%, 20%? It's up to you to decide on that. One of the feedbacks I get from the conference is like, okay, Yonatan, we get you, like, work day and night, weekends, and you will be successful, right? Most of you were thinking about that. But here, the message is actually, it's not about working hard or working day and nights. It's not about doing 120%. It's about doing 5 times more. To make the decisions to make and acquire things 5 times more. Like when you decide on the KPIs, when you decide on the opportunity, you need to feel this scratching in your belly. It means that you will need to make decisions and provide the solutions that will solve this 5 times more. Not just by working hard, but providing totally different solution. You start to think much more bigger. Trust me, I saw it happening. And of course, the most important thing in the whole story is to celebrate every time, every single small achievement, to celebrate. Like when we have even small feature released to production, we're celebrating, and I'll show you how, because the real example is the best one. So in our company, we have this main board, right? So we have like tasks, items, we have columns, like column of statuses, column of people, like different columns, more than 40. And then we have groups. In Excel, it's called sheet, right? And we saw from the data and also from the users that people don't get it, that they can click on the groups. They thought that they can swipe it or like expand it, but really don't get it. It's not was useful. Instead of that, we're thinking like, hey, let's change it from being tabs to be part of the board, right? You can scroll it and use it. And so what's the engineering said when he saw it? He started to cry, of course. Oh, it's so big change. Our library not supporting that. All our data coupled, and it will take us months to solve it, right? It's like, but instead of that, one of their engineers, Ronen, it's his name, say, hey, but maybe I can do different solution. Maybe I can take each column, one by one, all these 40 columns, and I will write the infrastructure that will support both the old board with the groups and tabs, and the new board. And then we can release every single column out of 40 and try, and we'll immediately see the feedback. Another developer at the same time say, hey, maybe it can work. I will try to make this small proof of concept of this new board and really saw if it's good for performance, if it can work in this way, and if you can really solve this issue for our users. Another developer, Amit, say, okay, It's clear that we can solve it, but actually what we're trying to move, what's important, like clicking or something else? And then we start to analyze and think, hey, what we want to move? We want actually that our users will use the board more. They will change the values in the board, the change status of the board, right? To scroll and other things. So we agree that this is going to be KPI of our feature. And we agree that, okay, we're going to build the new infrastructure, and actually we're going to invest like 2 weeks in research to build this proof of concept, and once we decide on the way, we're going to release constantly, every single week, new version to our customers with the new columns. And to make it really, really visible to everyone, we create part of our Monday of project management tool that, by the way, everyone can use it. It's freely available. There is a trial. There is Llama Farm. So like for each task, we can create Llama, and like red, it's mean we still need to work, and green, it's mean like it's already done. And we put it in the dashboard, in the common television, that everyone can see this llama dancing, and once we were finishing the llama, we were celebrating. We was really celebrating, like with the sound, with the music, dancing, and like everyone, like every single green llama, this is what we were doing. And it's creating an effect that everyone in the company start to asking, what the hell is happening in the mobile? Why are you always dancing and do some weird stuff, like why? And of course, we involved, it's not only was engineering effort, we involved all others to participate in it, right? So we were working with the designers, we prioritize all the tasks, because we are developers doing ugly things. Let's face it, we're not designers. So we involved designers and also our product guy to be part of this effort. It's not just engineering effort. We, together with them, not them prioritize for that. Together with them, we prioritize the task because everyone was aligned in the goal to make all these columns green llamas. And of course, result was really astonishing. Like we create a new board, and it was the performance-wise, the usable-wise, it was really, 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 really well. Everyone liked it. Like from the first time you touch it, you see, okay, it's much better. You see it. And of course, we explain it to all the company. We really, our developers, create company event and invite everyone to join, and we show to everyone a new board. We wanted to connect it to everyone because we want budget to go and eat together, because we're Jews, we like to eat. And of course, we went to celebrate, and we're not just celebrating for free. When we look at the numbers, and by the way, it's developers who looked at the numbers. They create the dashboard with all numbers. We saw that usage of the board, it went from 1.5 days in a week almost to 2. Like we almost doubled the usage of the board. And more than when we look on the interactions with the board, right? How many status was changed, how many people was assigned to the different tasks, we saw this grow by 20%. 20% more events just because we changed the boards, the groups, to being from tabs to be part of the board. Sounds good, right? Who wants to work with these developers? Who like these developers, right? Amazing guys doing so crazy stuff. But don't forget that sometimes we fail as well. Sometimes we forget to plan the things, sometimes we forget to involve others. It's the path. It's a path that we're constantly growing, doing, and trying, right? It's not like we know 100%. It's trying really, really hard to achieve things, to learn, and never, never, never stop. So I encourage you to think, like tomorrow you will start your most important project, right? The startup. I don't know, best idea. What engineers you want on your team? Or actually, what engineer you want to be? Like that can introduce these amazing solutions, or the one that's chasing the best libraries? Or the one that can create amazing value for users, and this is a feedback from users that sent us on Facebook on the new board. They really like the change. This is what the engineers can create, not someone else. So if you want to change it, it's up to you. It's nobody else going to solve it. It's up to you to lead this change with your product managers, with your business analysts, to show them these 14 questions that you're already going to ask them. You're going to ask tomorrow at your company, or actually not tomorrow, at Monday, hey, why are we doing what we're doing? What's this app going to solve? What's the main issue? What's the main thing that, because of that, we're developing it? And for me, once I wanted to be the best developer, the core engineer. But today I realize that to be the best is to be the best for your users. It's actually to chasing after the feeling of making impact for the millions of the users around the world. Thank you.